time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners for the purpose of agenda review for next week's meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer, Commissioner Allen. Here. Commissioner Clickham, Commissioner Osterhaus. They are in the room. Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Chairman Eilert.
Here. Mr. Klicka is here. Mr.
Yes, thank you.
Schaefer is in the building. He'll be here shortly. We do have a quorum present. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Sure. Item number 1, consider reappointing James Donovan and Richard Bouchard as the 1st District representatives to the Consolidated Fire District Number 2 through August 24, 2020. Item number 2, consider reappointing Ellen Hanson, Community Leader Representative, and Mark Keating, Kansas Department of Corrections Representative, as recommended by the Chairman to the Criminal Justice Advisory Council through October 1, 2019. Item number 3, invitation for bid number 2017-088. Consider authorizing a contract with the Wilson Group, Inc. for Phase 3 interior improvements at the New Century Airport Administration Building for a total amount not to exceed $265,353. Item number 4, consider approving a water supply agreement with the City of Gardner for the sale of water to New Century Air Center. Item number 5, consider authorizing a contract amendment with Bravo Wellness, LLC for administration of the county's wellness strategy for the 2018 calendar plan year, increasing the contract value from $97,806 to an estimated $228,000. Item number 6, consider authorizing a contract amendment with Tria Health, LLC, which currently administers medication therapy management services to high-risk individuals as a component of the self-funded group pharmacy plan, to include a tobacco cessation program, increasing the contract value from $138,000 to an estimated $195,000. And item number 7, consider authorizing a contract with PureFit, Inc. to provide the administration of the county's fitness program and creation of a network of fitness facilities for county employees and spouses to access under the county's fitness program at an estimated maximum cost of $130,000. The initial contract term will be for 3 years with the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year periods.
Let me ask this. The item number 3 and 4 in regards to the airport, are those items going to be, have they been recommended by the airport commissioner, or will they be considered tomorrow? Or, excuse me, Wednesday next week?
Yesterday was the meeting, and they both were
Yesterday
approved.
was the meeting?
Yep.
Okay, and they were both recommended for approval?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Other questions on those, any of those items, Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Otto, on the remodeling, is that a fair description? The three firms that submitted quotes or bids, whatever we call these, were any of them involved in previous remodeling efforts of the admin building?
Currently, there's a Phase 2 being done to finish the South Corridor, and sorry, I'm Aaron Otto with the Johnson County Airport Commission. And the Wilson Group is a group that was brought on board and brought before you earlier this year to help finish the life safety issues and a few unfinished items in the South Corridor. That might explain their bid being a little bit less because they are familiar with the building, but prior to this year, I'm not aware that they had anything to do with being a past vendor to that building.
Okay. And was there an independent engineering estimate, or how does that work since Wilson was already doing the work? I mean, and I'm glad it's a low bid, but how do we know if we're getting the value that we expect out of that?
What I can say is that a few years ago, there was an estimate done for this project. It was a little bit different of project, but the same area and a lot of the same finish work, and it was a bid that was over it was just over $300,000. So we've de-scoped some things, and it's been a couple years, so I'm happy that this came in at that level. That was what I used as a target to put into the CIP for this year's budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right, remain on consent? All right. Questions on any of the other items at this time? Mr. Osterhaus.
Cameron, can we talk about 5 and 6 for a minute? Can you just give us a general overview of what those increases are for?
I would suggest
Sure.
that there's a lot of questions on these two items that we
Actually,
put
that's,
into action, but go ahead.
no, you know what, can we meet offline, Cameron? Is that okay?
That'd be
Sorry,
fine.
we'll save time.
I'd be
that
happy
way.
to.
Yeah.
I had questions too, so maybe
Okay.
make them action
Yeah.
items,
Back to you.
Mr. Chair. Is that what you
Okay,
said?
very good. 5 and 6 will be moved to the action agenda.
No,
Those
wait, can
comments,
we,
Cameron.
I'm okay with leaving them on consent. I just wanted to talk to Cameron about them, if that's
Pull them off
okay with.
next week.
Yeah, I don't have any desire to pull them off.
Well, then offline, Cameron, you and I can visit.
Sorry. I mean, did you
Oh,
want,
okay.
you wanted to pull them
Sorry, I
off? Or No.
misunderstood. No.
I didn't want to pull them off. I actually agree with these, and I'm, on the surface, I just was curious what they,
Well, there's three, and there's some moving parts there, and I wanted to get the big picture to understand. I'm not raising objections, it's just understanding what you're trying to do and how you're communicating it.
Okay. that'd be
Okay.
Great. And to be honest with you, item 7, I'm actually taking off the agenda and postponing it. Some discussion has occurred during the contract negotiations that I'd like to resolve before I bring it back to the board.
Okay, all right, so noted. So that one will be removed from the agenda for next week. Or do we need to leave it there and continue?
Need to leave it and then decide to table it next week or do whatever it is, but
All right.
it has been published at this point.
Okay, all right, thank you.
do we have to move, we do have to move that.
We don't do it today, but next week, yeah. Okay,
And those issues might be resolved by next week.
Okay.
moving to the action agenda.
Item number 8, consider renewing property, commercial, general, and automobile liability, public officials liability, crime, fiduciary, liability, data security, excess workers' compensation, sheriff's law enforcement liability, and the Health Department mental health and developmental supports professional liability policies for calendar year 2018 with the quoting carriers in the amount of $1,388,723 with multiple incumbent carriers.
Treasury and Finance.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commission. I'm Bill Covern, Risk Manager. I'm part of the Treasury and Financial Management team. I'm here today to present the 2018 Property and Liability Insurance Renewal effective January 1st. I just want to go over a few of the highlights for you. The renewal premium for 2018 is $1,388,723. That is approximately a 6% increase over 2017, which equates to $83,000. We did market the property insurance, which makes up about 46% of the total premium. We went to 3 major carriers, Travelers, Zurich, and XL Catlin. All 3 of those carriers declined to quote, based on the fact that in essence, they could not compete with our current pricing with FM insurance, nor could they meet the same contractual terms and conditions for the policy. We also marketed the liability coverage. We had 1 carrier respond to that. The carrier could beat the price by about $3,900. It was decided that the coverage that we have with the incumbent, Genesis, is a better policy. They have a higher financial rating, and we have a long-term continuity with Genesis. Genesis is able to work with us to make changes in our policy as we need to midterm. They're very responsive to our needs, and so the value of that continuity, the stronger financial position, was more valuable than the $3,900 premium savings, in our opinion. The excess workers' compensation offered us another 2-year deal where our rates will be frozen for the 18 and 19 policy years. The total increase in their rates was about 5%. The total cost went up, the cost actually went up, the rates went up 5% and the cost is up because of our increased payroll. So a total increase was very small, and it will be frozen for 2 years. And we're able to keep the same self-insured retention level where other competing carriers want a higher self-insured level at about the same or higher premium. So this was the better deal. The one line of coverage that we did have a pretty significant increase was the sheriff's law enforcement liability. It went up about 16%. That equates to over $20,000, and that is really the only policy that had that significant of a percent increase. I think you can tell by watching the news why. That market is very difficult. There are a few carriers, and there are a lot of claims. With that said, I would stand for, excuse me, we do have for a fourth year, we have the membership credit from FM Global, and that will equate to about $88,000.
Very good.
Okay?
Questions?
With that, I stand for questions.
Mr. Allen?
Thank you. I don't have a specific problem with what's being proposed. I know these are complicated bids and the county's exposures and are unique. I guess my concern would be is maybe just to have a separate quote. I'm concerned about our excess liability umbrella coverage, and I've heard different amounts of what we're covered for, but I'd at least like the opportunity to frankly beef that coverage up significantly if the cost is reasonable. Across the board, I know unfortunately we're involved in a lawsuit. I believe we're being sued for $6 or $7 million at this time. That I'd like to see us have across the board, frankly, a minimum of an additional $5 million coverage, possibly $10 million coverage. I understand some of our exposure that may be difficult to purchase that coverage, but I would just like to have the county's exposure, the risk, and then what the premium cost to cover that risk may dictate where we can go. But I would like to take a serious look, frankly, to have higher excess so-called umbrella coverage. If the underlying coverage is not enough and we get in some unique situation where there's significant exposure, at least in my opinion, I've done the due diligence to review and look at these liability limits in the current marketplace to find out what coverages we can buy, and I frankly would probably lean more to a $10 million excess liability policy. So I'm not going to hold this up or anything else, but I just like a review, complete review and cost analysis of buying across the board for all county operations more excess liability coverage.
Okay.
Well, that's not a bad idea, and you're the insurance expert on the dais, so I would suggest that you participate in that evaluation along with staff. Thank you. Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm still processing what Commissioner Allen offered. You spoke a little more quickly and with a little bit more detail than I'm able to, but I think conceptually that makes sense. So my question may be related to what you just asked or may not be. I don't know that I have the same sense that you do, but Bill, the increase, the total premium increase went up about 6.4%. Well, what is driving that? Is it the law enforcement, or is there something? Is it just market forces generally, or my question is to get to the point is, are there things within our control that we might consider doing differently to help push back on that kind of increase?
Right, it's kind of an all of the above.
So there are things we could do to push
It's a combination of the things that you just said, Commissioner. One thing, our property values increased significantly for 2018 because we included the courthouse, some of the courthouse value for builder's risk, a couple of museums that are under construction, and the Tomahawk plant. So values go up. The rate went up slightly on the property, and that combination, is part of the reasoning. And again, that's a big part of our total premium, so it has a big impact on the total.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that relates to what Commissioner Allen was saying in terms of looking at that. If it does, great. I just had that observation. And next, Bill, if you could, you said Genesis was a better policy, and the cost difference was
$3,900.
Yeah, I mean, it's nominal, but could you elaborate a little bit on why you think it's a better policy? You mentioned something about its financial stability, but is that the only reason, or was there something else?
Well, it's AM Best and Standard & Poor's, and financial rating is higher than the company that bid against them. I'm
So that's
counting,
the main reason?
that's the primary reason. And the longevity with which we've had insurance with Genesis gives us a lot of flexibility with them and responsiveness from them.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Klicken?
I appreciate what you're trying to wrestle with here, and I think what's hitting the commission here a little bit is this last hit right now. I would probably yield to Commissioner Allen due to his knowledge on a lot of this stuff as we look at this, but preparation for the year to come, and as we're going through the next year, I'd be very interested to what steps we can do to help mitigate future increases. And you addressed, Commissioner Ashcraft, it's not only the increase in property value and different things like that, but there may be some other actions we may or could take. And if we can get on the front end of that in preparation of the following year, estimates or bids on this, we may be able to help mitigate those future increases. So probably best to kind of follow this along through the course of the year instead of just once on every year.
Bill, remind me, the total increase dollar-wise is how much?
It's on my note. I'll give you the exact number.
Total dollar increase, did I recall 80,000?
Yeah, 83,400.
And 20 of that was public safety, i.e. sheriff?
The law enforcement liability sheriffs.
Yeah, so that's a big part of the increase, and, you know, we obviously do not have specific control over those activities. So, okay. Well, this will remain on action. Thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 9, consider allocating $131,872 of 2018 alcohol tax funds as recommended by the Drug and Alcoholism Council of Johnson County, a program of United Community Services of Johnson County, in its 2018 alcohol tax fund recommendations report.
Hi, Chairman and Commissioners. Allie Sauls, County Manager's Office. So I'm here to present this. The Drug and Alcoholism Council of Johnson County recommends adding that amount you just heard of the 2018 alcohol tax funds to be combined with 9 cities for a total of $2,061,072. The funds provide grants to public school districts, nonprofits, departments of county government, and the 10th Judicial District Court. Each provide programs in areas of alcoholism and drug abuse education, prevention, intervention, and treatment. Today we have Julie Brewer and Myra Shot, Reverend Kevin Scooty, the county's representative on the Drug and Alcoholism Council, and they're both available, or all 3 available for questions.
Okay. All right. Well, this is an annual review that we received on these expenditures. Any questions? Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Brewer, before next week, maybe we could sit down and visit a little bit so you can educate me on kind of the background of some of these things.
Mr. Osterhaus?
I was just going to recommend that we move those to consent if no one had any issues.
Agreed.
I've supported these every year, I believe, and
Okay.
so.
All right, so noted. That will go to consent. Next item.
So the next one, oh, you have to read it first.
Item number 10, consider allocated $131,775 of 2018 human service funds as recommended by United Community Services of Johnson County in its 2018 Human Services Fund recommendations report.
Ally.
Thank you, Chairman. So the USC recommends that we allocate $131,775 to be added with the funds from 14 other cities for a total of $359,715. These funds provide grants to nonprofits that provide safety net programs that meet the needs of our residents who live with income at or below the federal poverty level.
Questions? Okay. All right. Consent.
As well.
All right, we'll move that one to consent also. Are there any other items? All right, that concludes our review of next week's regular session agenda. We are adjourned, and we'll come back as soon as